front row, brave.
Okay. Okay. First of all, many thanks for coming out on this cold November night. Just to remind you that this is being recorded, so if you should be at work or somewhere else, stand behind the cameras, please. But I think it's very important that we actually like to mark the occasion of the passing of John Newman, one of our managers, who passed away. So before we start the meeting, I'd like to have a minute's silence for John. So for those, if you want to sit, if you want to stand, stand. But it's almost like on the referee's whistle, I'll do the 60 seconds. So we can have a minute's silence for John Newman, please. Okay, thank you very much indeed. There's a lovely tribute on the club website and across social media from Scott and the team, so thank you very much indeed for that, Scott. Read about John and his career. Please take a time to look at that. So lovely to see everybody in the room. Welcome to those viewing online. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Hopefully you'll find this an interesting evening. First half, the gaffer is here for his thoughts about various bits and bobs. That will go to about 7:15ish, 7:30 maybe, depends how many questions you ask. Short break at 7:30, and then 7:45 to 9 o'clock, chance to ask the new boards various questions, which I'm sure you will have. Really don't want to go beyond 9 o'clock. So please just remember that. So this part is purely football and talking to Gary. Second half will be trust stuff. So let's get going, shall we? Couple of really important questions to begin with. How's your park run time coming along?
Yeah, it's going quite well actually. I'm dropping down into the low 20s, still not quite at Perks' level. But yeah, me, Perks, Michael McBride, Alex Mitchell, Lauren, the analysts, we do the park run in Exeter on a Saturday when we've got a home game, and always when we're at an away game, we'll go locally to whatever hotel we're at, we'll find the local park run and we'll go and do that, and it's a great way for me to start a match day. It gets us kind of out of bed, bit of work to kind of get you ready for the game. And it was actually interesting, we met when we were at Leyton Orient. We were at a place, a Holiday Inn near Brentwood, and we went to the park run and we asked a guy to take a picture, because we always get a picture of the park run and the name, so we have them all for our collection. And as he took the picture, he went and found his dad, and he said, "There's two Scottish guys just asked me to take a picture." And his dad was actually Christian Daly, the ex-player who I played with. And it was so random, and he watched us and then we spoke to him. So it shows what a small world it is. And for me, the park runs are an incredible organisation for people up and down the country to get out of bed on a Saturday morning and go and exercise. I think it's an incredible initiative, and yeah, we love doing them, and I've got Perks in my sights in the next probably 6 months.
Talking to Michael, he said it's a great way to show players about looking after yourself, team building and all of that. Did the players actually see that, or do they think, well, what they're doing, why are they doing that?
Yeah, well, they see us coming into breakfast with big bright red faces and realise we've been up to something. But yeah, we all we all have our routines, I think, which is important on any given day. I think routines are important, but on a match day, that's ours. Dan Green gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I think, and does a crazy run, which is, he goes for miles and does it extremely quick. Kev Nick will go a run, go to the gym. So all of us have our different routines, so that come 3 o'clock, we're all ready to do our job and to help us win.
And in that time, is that a time for you to think about the day and your team talk, your planning prep for the day? Is that a fair thing to say? Or do you just focus on blooming out, this is hard work?
Yeah, I'm putting one foot in front of the other. I'm trying to get as fast as I can over that line, which isn't very fast. But sometimes I do think when you're running, it does allow you to, when you're in that kind of dark place, you start to think of different things. And yeah, when I've been either training or park runs, there's different thoughts come into your head. So like I said, I think it's a brilliant way to start a day when you're then kind of going into battle with the players and going to a game. It keeps you alive, it keeps you fresh, ready for that game at 3 o'clock, because that's the most important thing, obviously, on that day.
Fantastic, thank you. So, park run in Exeter every Saturday down at the Exeter Riverside. If you want to come and join in, see how you get on against the gaffer, be most welcome. Isn't that right, Martin? The other thing, as I was saying earlier to you, can't really take the mickey out of Scotland's latest result. No longer the gallant losers going forward to the World Cup.
Yes, and I'm sure England will be worried now in the group if should they face us, as has happened Euro 96 was probably, was that the only time? But that was the last time, I think, that we met each other in a group stage in a major finals. But an incredible achievement for Scotland. It's not happened for 27 years, of which my career probably started and finished, which is, I don't know if that's something to do with me. But yeah, I was delighted. We watched it in a pub, myself, Perks, Taggy and Michael watched it in a pub, and an incredible game, incredible goals, and yeah, for the whole country to get to a major finals is brilliant. It's over in America and Canada, where my brother is, so I'll see, what the draw is. I think it's early December, the draw, so looking forward to that.
And as Lawrence was saying earlier, you no longer can take credit for one of the greatest goals in Hampden Park now, because there were 3 great goals, weren't there, on the other night?
I've scored at the end that Scott McTominay scored. It was probably slightly further out, and it was a half volley, I call it, but more like a tackle, and yeah, nowhere near the level. I thought all the goals were exceptional, but his goal was unbelievable athleticism and technique to get his foot that high and to score a goal like that in a game of that magnitude shows the quality he has.
Good. Right, let's get on to some Exeter stuff now. So how is, in your view, the season going to date compared to how you thought it might go at the beginning of the season in August? Where you think you are? Up or down, or what are your thoughts on?
You said you were going to finish the season so far. Look, I think it's been, everyone knows it's been a hugely challenging time for the whole football club. And when we came into the season, there was a kind of goal and different things, and then certain things changed within budget, certain things changed within the club in different moments, which is always unsettling. It's never an easy period. I think we've managed, when I talk about this, I mean the whole club, I think, has managed that extremely well. I think from a football side, we've had to adjust in terms of recruitment, had to adjust slightly how we were planning that and what we were looking to do. I think that has given more opportunities for younger players, which is always a good thing at this club. We need our younger players to come into the first team and to play for the first team and to ultimately get sold for the first team. It's probably what's kept this club alive in the last 20 years. And to be able to do that again and see younger players coming on in league games or playing in the Virtue Trophy, I think is really positive. I think the league has been different to what most people thought. There's been, across the board, I think there's been strange results. I think teams who you didn't expect to do well probably started better than you thought. The league at the moment is starting to balance itself out, and I say this all the time, and I've had criticism at other clubs for saying this. For me, the league table at this moment in time, we shouldn't read too much into it, because 2 wins and everything can look amazing, 2 defeats and everything can look like a disaster, and the league table only really matters after 46 games. Now, obviously, we don't want to be where we are at the moment. We like to be, 5-6 points higher, and in that kind of mid-pack where you're probably looking up rather than down. But we know, there's a lot of games to play. We know there's a lot of points up for grabs, and we know that if we keep working through the process that we planned at the start of the season, then we know we can have a successful season come the end of the season.
Bringing back to the point about the younger players, some have really shone through, haven't they? Given the chance, they've taken it, haven't they, with both hands, and really are now starting to come good for us.
Yeah, I think they all have in different moments. I think what I have noticed in every year I've been here is that the level has got. The players that are coming up have been fitter, have been technically better, have been more robust than they've been in previous years. That is a great credit to Pewey and Parksy, and I must say David Oldfield, since he's came into the club as under-18s coach, has been brilliant. I think that is a massive role at our club, where he needs to educate players, he needs to toughen players up and get them ready for the harsher environment of first team football. And I think the players this year have came up and they've been more ready. That can be the biggest compliment I can pay them, that physically and mentally they were more prepared than previous years. And some have really grasped the opportunity, some haven't, but we tell them every day, when you're training with the first team, when you get opportunities to be in the bench, every moment you get is a moment to impress us and try and progress your career.
And the lads who've gone out on loan, what are you hearing back from the clubs they've gone to? Are they really working hard, and I suppose getting a bit like getting just work experience, aren't they, at a higher men's level? Yeah,
look, I think that's a really important part of it. If the games programme drops with us in terms of, I think like Charlie Cummins, who a player who came over from Ireland, had a brilliant start, had a really difficult year last year, and then started the season incredibly well, came on in our great win away at Wickham to make his league debut, which is always an amazing achievement for any young player. And then once his game time, or he wasn't on the bench as much, started to drop, we felt like now is the moment to get him out on loan and make sure that he continues to play games and continues to develop, which he is, at a different level, which brings out or gives him more challenges than he would have in our first team environment. He now has to play week in, week out at a team that are up the top of the league, and he has to deal with that environment, and that will help him develop. And we look at all the players on an individual basis, and we'll assess them throughout the season. If and when they need that loan, then we'll try and get them in.
So if I can just take you back to the Argyle match. A lot of work obviously went into that, and I think we saw the result of that hard work. How easy or difficult was it for you to sort of get the mindset of the players in terms of we must really perform well at that level?
For me, those games are easy to prepare for, or easier to prepare for than a normal league game. I think you help it, that when you walked into the stadium that night, myself, the players, you felt the energy, you felt the occasion, and that brings out, well, you either sink or swim. It can bring out the best in you, it can inhibit some people. But in the lead up to that game, we'd done a lot of work on how important winning was, and we always talk about process and how we play. In derby games, it doesn't matter how you play. It's all about winning. And I think in my time here, I've had 2 derby games where I think we've played really well in both games and ultimately lost both of them. So a big emphasis in my mind was on explaining to the players what winning meant to the football club, how long it had been since we'd obviously played one, and really getting that across. We'd done that in different ways. I mentioned David Oldfield. We used David Oldfield. He scored 2 goals for Man City in a derby, a Manchester derby, many years ago now, I must say, but none of the players knew about that. And I always like to get different people in, different voices. They hear me all the time, miserable old Scotsman, barking at them every day.
Harsh but fair.
They hear Perks, they hear Dan Green, they hear Kev Nick, and I felt like we had to give them something different, so they felt the game was different. It wasn't your normal league game. So David came in, we showed the goals that he scored, and he done a brilliant talk about filling their tank of energy, of emotional energy, to use that in the game. And it was brilliant for them to see one of our staff and appreciate, actually, I think a lot of them didn't know how good a player he was, so that was good. We also managed to get in touch with Matt Taylor and Paul Tisdale. Taggy helped us get in touch with Paul, and I have Matty's number, so we got messages for them of what their experience of derbies were, and I felt like we had to lean on the history of this football club and people that had not only played but managed, coached, and knew the feelings of winning, losing, drawing in these games and what these games meant. So we've done a number of different things that I think, obviously when you get the result right, it worked to the kind of optimum level, so that the players were ready on an emotional level, but ready on a psychological level as well. Because I think we deserve a lot of credit for how we played in that game and how we won the game, and I think that's something as a team and as a club we have to know how we're going to win games at this level, because we can't just turn up and play the same formation, the same players week in, week out and expect to win. We have to be different, we have to be flexible. And that night I thought we were brilliant tactically, and that is thanks to analysts, coaches, everyone, the staff at the Cliffhill training ground, who put all the work in to come up with that game plan and put it across to the players. It's not easy to put that work in terms of videos, meetings, training sessions. We actually trained match day -2, we trained, and the out of possession wasn't right. We watched it back for hours in the afternoon. We then spoke about how we could change it. We brought the players in to ask them their feelings on it. We slightly adjusted the sixes position. We wanted 1 6 to play higher, 1 to play deep. We then decided to play both of them deeper, and it just reduced the distances for them and made the game, so much easier for us. So yeah, it's as good as it was. A lot went into it to win a game like that, and it goes into every game, but I think for derby games it was that little bit more special.
And how do you carry on that momentum then? Do you say, great, we've done enough, or do you have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, reinvigorate yourselves and the coaching staff and the players? What's that process after such a great win? How do you come down from that and get a bit of realism for the next match?
Yeah, that's the hard bit. I think people will have seen me speaking to the players, so immediately after the game, as happy as I am, as proud as I am of the players and the performance and the club, showing ourselves off in such an amazing way on Sky Sports, my thoughts go to how do we use this, how do we build from this, how do we harness this feeling to build momentum, because I knew we had 2 really difficult games after that, in terms of games that would be very easy to take our foot off the gas, and I had to straight away try and keep the players' mindset on what's next, how do we build on this, how do we get better as a team and build momentum. And I think we've managed to do that in a small way. I still want more, but we managed to go into the next 2 cup games and actually win both of those games, which was really good from a kind of such a high to manage to maintain that, and I think still maintain that. I think we're still playing well, even though we've not won every game since then. I think we've played really well in those games, and our form has been good for a number of weeks now.
And how do you don't get the result you want, for example, so how do you pick yourself up and the players up to get back to where you want to be? What's your? Can you give us a little of a trade secret of what you do?
Yeah, I'll smash the tactics board and throw everything around the training ground.
You do a Fergie, do you?
No, that's a really difficult process. I think there's always the emotion after the game, and I think that's good most of the time. There's occasionally, I think, is it once, this is why Dave's here, is it once I've had to apologise, Dave, for after the game? I think once I apologised to a couple of players for probably being a little bit too personal, but once in 3 years for me isn't too bad. But you are emotional after the game. I think that can be a good thing. I think the players have to feel that. They have to feel how much it hurts for me, for everyone. So there can be that, or there is that emotional part after the game. There's then a part of reflection where you think of everything from, like I said, the process of the week, how you planned, what training sessions we did we pick the right team, did we pick the right formation, did we press properly, did we build properly, all those different things go through your head, and you question, and I think we're really good at this as a staff, where we question ourselves, we look at ourselves and how we prepared the players. Then you watch the game back, and we all do this at different times. Dan Green has got it watched before Match of the Day's on a Saturday night. Dave will probably watch it when he gets in at 3 in the morning. I normally watch it about 5 in the morning when I wake up on the Sunday with something going round my head, and then deal with the kids as I get up. So everyone in our staff will watch it at different moments, and then I make phone calls on the Sunday to the staff and speak to them and see what their thoughts are. Normally we're off on a Sunday and a Monday, and we have our 4-day build-up. On a Monday we always have a Zoom call where all the staff, coaches, physios, sports science, we come on, we analyse the game, we prepare the next week, and then on a Tuesday we come in and review it with the players, and we're ready to go through that process again. And
how do you manage like the Saturday, Tuesday games then? How is that managed with all of that going on in your head?
Yeah, that's more difficult, where you have to review that quicker, and you have to also be prepared for the next game. And again, it's thanks to the staff, the amazing staff that we have. The analysts will prepare a game in advance. So whilst Lauren might have the Saturday game, Al will already be prepared for the Tuesday game. We'll watch parts of them probably Friday, maybe Sunday, to then be prepared to show the players. So the turnaround is quick, and it's hard to get more information in. So when I talk about how we prepared for Plymouth and how we had our build up for a Saturday, Tuesday game, you don't get that luxury of getting things wrong in training and looking at it and seeing what it looks like the next day. You have to make sure that what you do in training is right, or be prepared to change it to go into the game. But the turnaround is quicker, but again, the staff all work in advance to be ready for that.
Okay. Really, this one's for Perks, because he's the set piece specialist. But there's been some interesting corner routines this season. Where does he get those ideas from, and how does he think it all up? Or
they're not his ideas, they're Alex Mitchell's. Him and Alex do the attacking set pieces, and they've been fantastic. Last year we were the second best team in the league. In fact, Rangers just poached Lincoln's, who was the best. Dave was in the running for it, but just missed out, I think, Dave, didn't you? He wasn't going to go to Rangers anyway, I wouldn't allow that. But yeah, we were the second best team in the league for attacking corners and set pieces last year. This year we haven't been as good, but we have still scored a few. We scored a brilliant one in the Cup, which got us a great start away at Halifax, and there's such important part of the game now. You see, even at the elite level, the Premier League level, the top of the league, the best team in the league is Arsenal, but they're also fantastic at attacking set pieces, and defensively you need to be very good as well. So it's a huge part of the game where we put a lot of work in. Tomorrow we're doing work on defensive set pieces, and gone are the days where, back when I played, which feels like a long time ago now, you only really did set pieces the day before the game. Now they're pretty much part of the training week, and we do them on different days of the week so that the players are very clear on what those routines look like, because it's not just about being in the right place at the right time. It's the movement, the blocks, and all the subtle little dark arts that allow you to get Danny Andrew free at the back post. That doesn't just happen. That is blocks, that is video, that is working on the training pitch, and when it comes off, it's a really good moment for everyone, but Dave and Al are normally the most excited when that happens.
I find that hard to believe, David. Moving on to, we talked about FA Cup, so obviously not far away for us. What are you starting to think about that yet? Are you sort of starting to make your plans for the Wycombe match?
Yeah, we've watched some of Wycombe last week. The Burton game being off was good. It allowed us to then obviously kind of jump ahead a little bit, and to have Bradford, Luton, Wycombe, and then obviously Wimbledon, Bolton. It's games in quick succession. So when you have that type of run of games, you try and work ahead and get an idea of what teams look like, you know, whether we're going to change teams in those games or who's going to be important for those games. So I have had a look at them, and they've picked up dramatically since Michael Duff went in. The big thing I think in an FA Cup tie is we get a home draw, and we get as big a crowd as we can in here and make it intimidating and make it difficult for the opposition. It's never great, I think, to get a team in your league. I think for both teams that's probably a disappointment, because they're going to have to come here twice, and kind of from now and obviously before the end of the season in the league as well. So we've got a home draw. It's probably a 50-50 game in terms of who can win that game, and obviously with the third round coming next, then it's a really big game in terms of what could come next.
And you did promise me Everton away, didn't you? Because I want to go and see the new stadium.
Yeah, we'll take
that. Usual question at this time of the year: injury updates. Can you say anything how that's progressing? People coming back, people being a bit longer than you thought?
It's actually, Michael's here. It's actually probably as good a run. I'll touch wood, Michael. It's as good a run of injuries as we've had in my 3 years at the club. I think that is down to obviously Michael. I think a fantastic experienced physio, but also I have to say Tom Yates and everyone within the sports science department. I think the continuity we have now within how we work, how we plan training, we are actually spending less time on the training pitch but working harder, which the intensity of the players' work is really good. I think all of that adds up to fitter players, less injuries. We've had days recently where every single first team player has been out on the grass at the same time. Some of them doing end stage rehab, most of them training with the first team, and hopefully soon we'll pretty much have a full squad to pick from. But as with any injury, you never know when the next one might come. But at this moment in time, I think the work we've been doing and the level of, like I said, staff and the quality that we have has led to us having a really good period recently.
Okay, we'll leave it there because I don't want to jinx it. Maybe I've got a few more questions, but maybe just a good time to go into the audience. If you've got any questions quickly, we can ask Gary. If you'd like to take the mic, Josh, so they can hear you on YouTube.
No, thank you. Hi, Gary. Obviously, unfortunately, the game was off on Saturday. Did you and the team get up to any training or team bonding?
Yeah, so when we found out the game was off, I think it was the Wednesday. We trained the same on the Wednesday. We then had a kind of fun day on the Thursday and trained extremely hard on the Friday, and then we gave the players some days off, and then they came back in today ready for our usual 4-day build-up leading into Saturday.
Anybody else?
Hello, Gary. We know the disadvantages we have in player recruitment in like location and budget. What are the points that do attract players to us?
I think
Thank you.
A big attraction is the area. I think it's a brilliant part of the world to live. The weather's incredible. I can't believe how warm it is. Pete said it's cold, but trust me. I was thinking of wearing shorts tonight. It's that mild down here. So yeah, I think the area is amazing. I think the club's story and how unique we are as a football club is amazing. I think the challenge is big for players to come here and overachieve. I don't sell them a dream, I sell them the reality of when you come to this football club, you're going to have to work, you're going to have to overachieve for us to be successful at this level. But the opportunities for you to play for a great club in a great environment, fantastic training ground. We have everything you need to be a top football player. We have brilliant staff. And I think for any player, especially younger players, I think we're a brilliant football club to come and enjoy your career here and potentially move on, as have so many players done in recent years and years gone by. To, you know, when you talk about Ollie Watkins, you see Josh Key playing in the Championship, you look at other players that have left and done extremely well, then we're a brilliant club to join and kind of do well here.
Anybody else before I carry on? Can I take one more and then we'll come back to you afterwards?
Gary, can I just ask, considering with the position we are in, in the league, and obviously no Burton game, do you feel that maybe getting the players in on a Saturday and a Sunday would have helped and would have benefited going forward, rather than giving time off?
So, like I said about the injuries recently, we work on a periodisation model where Tom and all the sports science, they have every metric that you can imagine. The numbers we can get now from the players in terms of the workload that they do every single day is so in depth, and he is, you know, for someone, he only graduated from uni, I think it was this summer potentially. He's been with us as an intern for 2 years, and how he's kind of grown in the 2 years has been amazing. But we look really closely at that. We know that, as I just said, coming, we have a really difficult period now going into Christmas. So it was actually perfect timing for what we would call a deload, where the players reduce their training load, and then we will build that up so that they're ready to peak at the right times. If we work them extremely hard this week, there'll then be a fatigue element coming in the next few weeks. So I think I said it in I done an interview to say that the game was off and, you know, what that meant for the team, but it was a bonus from that point of view that we allowed the players to rest, to then physically we'll pick them back up going into the Christmas period.
Thank you. One last question for the time being.
What do I press? Is it?
Nothing, just
Nothing.
speaking to the...
Gary, a thank you first of all, and what do I do?
Sorry.
Hold it up there.
Yeah.
A thank you and then a question. I've had 55 years of highs and lows with the local derbies with Plymouth Argyle, and the last game was terrific. I watched it in a motorhome, in a quiet car park, in a quiet town in the northeast of France, and I'd like to sort of thank you, not so much from myself, but the game finished local time at 11 o'clock, and the locals that were walking their dogs and walking home from the bar to see this mad Englishman doing a one-man conga around the car park in a dressing gown. I think they'll never forget that, so thank you very much. The serious question-ish, does it ever concern you that Jayden might do himself a bit of a mischief when he does his post-goal celebrations?
Yeah, I certainly couldn't do it myself now or when I played, but yeah, it's great athleticism to be able to do that, and as long as we keep seeing it in terms of every time he scores he does it, so if we keep seeing it then I'm quite happy. He looks in relative control when he does it, so yeah, I'm okay with it.
Just like to just cover off a little bit about the community work you've been doing recently. You went to the prison, Exeter prison. How was that? How did you get involved in that, and what did you get up to there?
Yeah, it was something the prison got in touch with the club about. I think they were doing for prostate cancer in terms of the staff, and some of the prisoners were doing 10k every day or getting on a bike, getting on a rower, running, whatever it was, to raise some money for prostate cancer. And I felt like it would be a good opportunity for not only myself, they wanted myself and some staff, but some players to go and kind of see what a prison looks like. One of my biggest fears is I get very, very claustrophobic. So when I seen the prison cell, it was quite a kind of scary experience for me, but it was brilliant to be in the prison. It was brilliant to meet the people in there and see the brilliant work they were doing, and a bit of an eye-opener for some of the players that went along as well. And it's something we want to do more in terms of our relationship with them and try and build that relationship as well.
Fantastic. And next week you've got the hospital visits and Senior Reds party. That's always something nice to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah, I think at Christmas it's always brilliant, the hospital or coming here for the party, for the signing session. I've said it recently when we had our kind of community trust week, that the community is such a massive part of this football club, and the players, I think we've got a brilliant group of players who do so much in and around the community at different events. Normally footballers are the biggest moaners you can get, and they're never happy doing anything out with their norm. But our players really go over and above, and I explain that to every player before they sign for this club. As much as the main thing is you perform on the pitch and you win games of football, but a very close second is doing your bit in the community and being a big part of that as well. So that's really important to me and everyone at the club.
And you do sort of lead the way, didn't you? Because you helped us out with a run in the summer, didn't you, being lead bike? That must have been quite an interesting experience for you.
Yeah, that was good. And then recently we played, what was it called? Pickleball.
Pickleball, yeah.
Recently, which was good. So yeah, I love getting out and about and meeting different people and doing different things in the community.
Okay, any more questions from the floor? Don't be shy. Here's your chance. Hold on, John. Excuse me.
This is a much more general question than one specifically about Exeter City Football Club. It's about injuries. I've been watching on Saturday morning some of the big match revisited things, looking at the pitches and what have you in the times. And of course, in those days, there was only one sub. How does only having one sub or having more subs and everything, does it make it more difficult to manage injuries or less? I mean, you see the players now with boots that look like slippers. The pitches are better. How has that changed over your career? What's that, 30 years as a player and a manager? Does injuries become a different thing in the modern game from what it was when you started?
That's a great question, and it's a question that if I could answer, I'd probably be at a much bigger club than Exeter City, if I'm being honest. When I look across football, and you see it at the elite level at Arsenal, Man United, Man City, they get a host of injuries, and they will have everything you can imagine, from cryotherapy to ice baths to recovery. You get big recovery boots now. You get everything that you need to recover and to perform. For me, the game is just getting so quick, and the physicality of the game and the speed of the game is, for the human body, it's testing the human body to the limit. And when you watch an elite level game, the speed that these players are moving, then I think it's just, it's going to happen that calves, hamstrings, injuries will occur, because it is a contact sport. And like I said, the game is just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And as much as we have all the data, all the sports science, injuries are just a part of the game. That if anyone can solve that solution and find a way, then there'll be a very rich man, because I think everyone is looking for that magic solution to kind of stop injuries or to limit them. And it is something at this moment in time, we're in a good place. We are limiting them. We are doing something right, and it's important that we understand what we're doing right, because for all the data that can change, and it can be a really small thing. We have, every time we get an injury, we look in great detail at why that injury occurred, and you can actually, we did it last year, one of the interns we had, Jack Craigie was a fantastic intern, and he looked at all the injuries and he could track it back to the specific drill that the player did, and his sprint distance would have went up at a certain point, and that was where the injury occurred, which I think is incredible that you can go into that kind of detail. I think of when John Lee Yefeko pulled his hamstring here, he ran in the 93rd minute at 103%, I think, of his max speed, so he's run the fastest he's ever ran that season in the 93rd minute of a game to recover. His hamstring just can't cope at that moment, and that's where, like I said, the physicality of the players, and that's why it's important we get the training loads right, because you get that slightly wrong, you run the risk of injuring players, and it's something that across football, probably across sport, is being tested. I also think, and this might be controversial, that younger people are doing less, and there's not as much kids playing anymore as there was back in the day. I think we're specialising far too soon, so I see like under 6, 7, 8 at academy football clubs where all they're doing is playing football every night, and they're not playing different sports, and they're not becoming robust enough. When you've got 14-year-olds that have got 2-day recovery, you know, they're not training because they're on match day +2. I think it's ridiculous. I think young people have to be stressed, they have to be pushed physically, and that builds a robustness for later life, that when we have all these tools and data, the body is actually robust because of the kind of education it's had through the kind of adolescence and through life to get to that point.
What's your opinion on these micro shin pads? Because there was a really nasty leg break in a local game in Devon recently. What's your view on using that type of equipment?
Yeah, I'm going to, Michael here hates them, so I'll stick up for him here. And I think they're ridiculous. I mean, I remember when I started playing football, I wore like the cricket pad, the one that you can put the ankle, which I think that's maybe a bit too far. But for me, there should be a minimum size that is much bigger than some of the shin pads that some players wear. I think it's dangerous, and they're risking their own careers with what they're doing. But by the end of my career, I wore fairly small shin pads, but they were much bigger than the ones some players are wearing at the minute.
Do the club insist on a certain size for our players?
I think Michael insists, but I'm not sure many of them listen. I think it's not our. I think it should be the governing body should come up with something to say this is a minimum size. And I mean, gone are the days where refs even check that the players are wearing shin pads. So it does probably have to come back in the game, because it is getting a bit out of hand.
Okay. Any more questions from the floor? There you go, sir. Then you're next.
Hi there. So obviously every manager would love their plan A to go to plan. But what happens if you got how many do you go? Do you go plan B, C, D? How many backups do you have if plan A is not working?
For me, like I said at the start, we have to be flexible. So for me, there is no one way to win a football match. You have to be flexible. You have to have an identity, and we have within the club now clear principles of play that no matter who we play, no matter home, away, what team it is, the players can fall back on those principles, that they are always going to remain for, if you play for Exeter, the principles are going to be there. What has to change is kind of how you go about winning football matches. So recently I spoke about the Argyle game. We normally want to dominate possession, but we felt like by giving them the ball, we could counter-attack really well against them, and they weren't a great team when they had the ball to build and play through us. Hence why we've done a lot of work out of possession, and we changed the shape. And then in the game, I have it on here, I was going to show it, but we couldn't get it up. I think our possession dropped from a league average of 51% to 42% in that game, but our fast attacks and our regains increased dramatically. So that to me would be like, so we have principles we play, but then you have a tactic for a specific game that's going to, you think, going to work against that opponent. If you then look at the Wigan game here, which is in a totally different game where we want to dominate the game, we want to keep the ball and be really controlled in how we attack, because they actually want to counter-attack us and they want to play direct balls into us. So if we turn the ball over too much, they'll attack us more. So every game is different, and then within every game you have to have, we do pre-mortems before every game where we have all the staff and we think of things that might happen in the game, injuries that might occur, tactics that the opposition might use against us, what would we do if they change, and we have all that prepared, what subs we'll bring on at different moments, and all that will be prepared before the game, but then also you have to, in a game, trust your instinct. So as much as we prepare all of that, sometimes in a game you'll see something that you have to go with your instinct and what you feel. Obviously during the game as well, we have myself and Kev Nick always in the technical area. We have Dan Green either up in the gantry or in the stand, and Perks up in the gantry or the stand, and coming up and down, and they're all connected. So we get all the information we need. We plan it before to give us the solutions if these problems arise. But I do think a lot of your match day is on instinct and what you feel and what you see on the match day, and it can be the smallest little thing that can affect the game. Who you put on, you know, if you play a left-footed player on the right, different things that can affect the game. So you have to think of all those different eventualities.
Yeah, the previous couple of Januaries we've really been able to sort of bolster the squad. Have you started sort of looking ahead to January, and do you think there'll be the opportunity to bring anyone in if we do need that?
Well, I don't know if I can answer that. Clyde's just, he was on his phone, but he's just looked up at me and scowled, so I'm not sure I can answer that. Yeah, look, we're always preparing for the next window. As soon as one window shuts, we start to think about the next window and again prepare what might happen, who might be out of contract. So we're always planning for the next window. Obviously to buy players you need money, and at this moment in time money's pretty tight, so we will, you know, keep discussing that as a club. We will be ready to act, and we'll know what players are there should we need to bring players in.
Anybody else? Okay.
Just going back to what somebody said earlier about attracting players. Obviously, location and budget is a main thing, but Reece Cole did an interview recently, and it was actually really very good, considering it was on You Don't Know What You're Doing, and it was really good. But he said something that really hit home, and he said he leans into the fact that he called us lost property, and it really touched me in that the way he was getting it across, that he was putting it into the boys in the dressing room. Like he said, you know, well, this is what we are lost property. Do you lean into that when attracting players?
Not particularly. I think what he means by that is like we find gems, I would think. I think we find people who have maybe lost their way. I think a football career is a really difficult career, and at moments within that career you can lose your way with form, with injury, with off-pitch problems. There can be loads of different things that can alter the path of your career. That doesn't mean to say you're a bad player. That doesn't mean to say that you're a player that can't achieve anything in the future. I think what we've done really well is find those players and give them a home and give them support to then get their career back on track. And Reece being probably the kind of pin-up boy for that, for someone who was at Brentford, had the hopes of an amazing career, and ended up just drifting kind of out of league football into non-league with Hayes and Yedding. I was fortunate, I had 2 games with him. I signed him at Partick Thistle, and 2 games later I got sacked, so I should probably never have signed him again. But he done well for me in the 2 games, so I kept in touch with him, and the opportunity came for him to come in and train with us. And I'll never forget, I said to like the staff this guy's a top player, and they're looking at me going, he's playing for Hazen Yedring, he can't be that good. I said, I'm telling you, he will be the best player, technically the best player in pre-season. And within the first day, all of them said, how have we got this player? Players started coming up and saying, you need to sign this player, he's that good. And he's been fantastic for us, and there's other examples of that as well. And yeah, I think his terminology for it, I think, was a little bit harsh on himself to call himself lost property. But I do think we're a really good club, as in the club, so yourselves, the environment that you provide here on a match day, and then also as a staff and the environment we provide at Cliff Hill Training Ground allows us to get the best out of these players, because for me there is no player is kind of broken or becomes a bad player. They just kind of lose their way, and it's up to me, the staff and a football club to invigorate these players and get the best out of them.
Hi Gary, thank you for doing tonight first of all. Watch play give us some incredibly enjoyable moments, but there are also quite a few highly stressful moments. That ball in the 18-yard box. I understand that possession we play, and as you alluded to earlier on, but perhaps sometimes we can away a bit quicker. I think we've got 2 defibs locally. We might need a few more guys.
Well, I'm the manager and I've got more on the game than you, and I don't feel that stressed, because I see the players every day. We show the players the reasons why. I had it as a player. I was fortunate. I had really good coaches as a player who always encouraged me as a centre half to play. And I used to get this. I used to hate the phrase where you put it in the stand and they used to say they can't score from there. And when I was younger, I used to say, well, they can, because they can throw it in the pitch, kick it in your box and score. I tell you where they can't score from: when the ball's at my feet, they can't score. It's impossible. I need to give the ball away before the other team score. So kicking the ball up the pitch and risking the ball, as much as for your heart you might feel a bit safer, when they head it back and the centre forward turns and kicks it in your net, it's the same thing. It looks a lot worse. It feels a bit more stressful, but it's understanding like where we play those passes. So recent game, Leyton Orient away, first half we never risked the ball. We kicked everything long because Leyton Orient were expecting us to play, wanted us to play and want to counter-attack. We kicked everything long to play in their half. Done it brilliantly, got a lead in the game. We then needed to second half gain some control, which we were just starting to do. But I actually had the audio one for this game. We could not risk the ball in the middle of the pitch. That was the big thing we kept saying. Now we did that for one pass and we got punished heavily. And that is, again, a moment where I have to support the players. I have to find out what they're thinking, why they make those decisions, and give them the confidence and the belief that the next time they're brave enough to do it, but they make better decisions and know why they're making those decisions. So we will always be a team that looks to find solutions, and I think this is the big thing. I think the trends now in modern day football, a lot more teams are going more direct, but that is because a lot of teams are pressing higher. So if we get pressed man for man, we're not going to play. We're not that naive that we can play against a man for man. But if a team presses us with 4 players and we've got 6 players, there is no risk. There's 6 players against 4, and we do drills all the time where if I said to the players, you 4 go and try and win the ball back, they'd think I'm crazy. But because of match day, there's a stress and there's an environment that can sometimes give stress. When your heart goes high, there might be a little moan from the crowd or a grunt that puts pressure on the players. Then sometimes they make bad decisions in those situations. It doesn't mean we rip it up and we go, we're just going to kick it long, because ultimately you can still lose the same goal just in a different way. So yeah, having clarity on how you're going to win games is for me the big part, where We have to show the players that, we have to convince the players that, and we have to trust them that they're going to make those good decisions. And when they don't, we have to support them and help them to next time make better decisions.
I'll come to you in a minute, Josh, but was there anybody else before I go to Josh? And then that'll be the last question for this session. Okay, so we'll go to Josh. Well, I'll work my way back through the room. We'll go to Josh, then you, sir, and then you at the back. And that'll be the last one then, okay? Thank you. Make it quick, Josh.
Obviously at the home game when we're doing the coin toss on the halfway line and we end up switching sides to go to the away end for the shooting against the big bank for the first half, does that make any impact on you and the players? Like, do you guys feel that sort of?
No, it doesn't for me. Obviously, we traditionally shoot to the big bank second half. I think for me, if teams are that disrespectful and do that to us, we should make sure we're 2 or 3 up at half time. The big bank needs to, for me, every time that happens, you should take offence to that and let them know that you're in our stadium and you shouldn't do that. And make sure that the first half is a difficult half for them. I know this from history because I've done it at Anfield to Steven Gerrard, and he was fuming when I spun him round and they had to shoot to the first half. And I went back in, we used to have a huddle at Wigan, and I said, that's us 1-0 up already, because he is fuming. So, yeah, it's something that, as a captain, when I was captain, I always used to look who we were playing, what side they wanted to shoot second half, and I would always, if I won the toss, I would always spin them to try and get one over them, on them. But like I said, if teams do that here, then I think the big bank should make a big noise about that and let them know that, you know, I wouldn't do that again next time we come back.
Hi Gary, just one question. There was a recent poll around all the pundits on I think it was the BBC about one rule. If they had the chance, what would be the one rule in football that you would change?
Yeah, but I won't go technical area because it's a specialist area. I'd take away the fourth official. I don't know why he's there, what his role is, and if anything, he only makes it worse. He converts really animated, and sometimes other benches animated. Or if he is there, he should have a role. He should be kind of detached from the area and kind of involved to help the referee on the game. So yeah, take the fourth official away.
Last question to Gary, please.
Yes, Gary. What effect, if any, do you think off-field events at the club have on the team as a whole?
Thank you. I always think these are difficult in terms of they shouldn't have any effect on the players, but it always does because it's your club. It's important to us that the club runs smoothly. But for me, this club's had many difficult moments in the last 20 odd years or however many years of history. And it's a moment where I think we all have to kind of rally round and stick together and get through it together. Obviously, for that to happen, we need to win football matches. The more we can win football matches, the easier that is. So we have to perform our part within that. But I also think supporters have a part to play as well, that in difficult moments, people have to stand up and people have to come together. So as much as it's challenging, I'm sure I hear the stories of years gone by for Taggy, for Clive, for Pete, for different people within the club, that, you know, this is nothing to compare to what it was 20 odd years ago. And we got through that, and I'm sure we'll get through this if we all stick together.
Okay, folks, half time, I think. So it's about 7:30 now, so 15-minute break. and then we'll back in for quarter two. Just like to thank Gary for his candour and honesty, and thanks to the questions as well. I just think it sums up the club that, you know, we can actually ask these types of questions to the manager face to face. Not many clubs in the league will do that. I'm going to embarrass Gary now as well. Gary's the type of man who will text a fan at midnight after the Argyle match and say that win was for you. And this lad is not very well. So that's the type of man that we have. Okay, we have our variations on Gazball and the merits of that, but we've got a good bloke in charge, and thank you for what you're doing. So back at 7:45, please. We are good to go, Seth? Okay. So, second half. Off we go. Just want to start. Hold on. Helps if I put my glasses on. We have a few apologies from trustees who can't make it in the room or online because they're at work or they're in Manchester, London or Didcot. So Steve Chudley, Deborah Noble, Nick Bryant, they send their apologies, but they've got a pre-planned work commitment for tonight. Neil Amelier, Matt Phillips, Deborah Mardells, they're viewing from home. Cam Ward, our comms officer, has been working very hard this afternoon. He couldn't get in from Sidmouth, so he sends his apologies. But he's making notes of questions that will come in, and he'll make sure that any questions that are asked online will get answered. He'll forward them on to Nick Bryant, who is now our interim communication working group lead. So Nick has said he will try and get back to people by the end of the week. So that's and Sarah Ford, our membership secretary, she can't make it either here tonight. She's got a pre-planned arrangement. But otherwise, we're all here, aren't we? We're all here. So what I'd like to do is just start on, following on from my statement, my newsletter a couple of weeks ago, or last week, just to sort of set out my vision for how I want the next 12 months to go. As you can see, we have some of the trust board up with me. We've got Tony, Vice Chair, Nigel, and Gary on the TFG group. That's Trust, Finance and Governance group. And they're going to be taking over because I'm off to watch Heartbeat now. I'm joking. So they're going to help maybe answer some of the questions, some of the queries that you might have. Bear in mind, we've only been a new board for 17 days, so please treat us gently. The fire hasn't helped. That was quite a bump in the road. And on that point, I would just like to say a big thank you to everybody who has contributed, either in terms of cash, donations, services, or whatever. I can't really sum it up any better than Justin Quick, who's been leading the renovation project. He's sort of updating him during the week of how much money was coming in. And he said in 3 words, how I think it sums it up really, really, really well, how very kind. There have been some very kind people out there, so a big thank you to everybody. We are looking at probably closing the appeal next week, just before the Wycombe game. I think that seems an appropriate time to do that. So Cam will be putting something out later in the week. I haven't checked this evening, but it's just over 48,000 now, is it? 49,000, so it really would be nice to get it up to 50,000. So the online donations are almost at 50,000. It'd be nice to get those across that line. We have money coming in all the time, direct to the club or through other offline portals. So sometimes it's difficult to give an up-to-date target. But I think we're at 75,000. I know of a sponsor who wants to remain anonymous. Is going to give us £10,000, which is really generous. So a big thank you to them. Obviously, we've got the recovery room money as well. So we're doing really well in terms of achieving the target. So once again, many thanks for what you're doing. In my newsletter, I said there are 3 things: reflect, refresh, and move forward. And the reflect bit is looking back over the last 6 months in particular of how the trust has managed certain processes. And I've asked Tony, Vice Chair, to lead that review. I don't think it's right or proper for me or the trustees from the previous board to lead that review. I just don't think that's right, and I think it should be somebody fresh to the board who should be leading that. And I've asked Tony to take that on, appoint the people he wants with him to look at that review and report back to the trust board and yourselves at the January trust board. Not there's any pressure, but that's what we've asked to do on the reflect part. And we're looking at processes, procedures, what we can do to help make sure that doesn't happen again. Tony, did you want to say a couple of words on that, or?
Well, as long as Gary's got room in his diary, we should be all right. No. I don't think there's anything at this point, except to say that I'm going to be asking 2 or 3 people external to the trust to help us understand where we could have done things probably a little bit better, be a bit more open, and where we can learn, really. It's not about who can we hang from the lamppost. We want to be able to be able to use it positively going forward. Okay.
Do you want to say anything about your experiences so far, your 17 days in?
Yeah, I arrived as a fresh-faced 21-year-old 17 days ago. I don't look any different. Anyway, firstly, I'd like to welcome everybody here, fellow owners, trust members, supporters. I think the key thing is we're all here tonight because we're all very passionate about this football club. We love this football club. Some of us are stupid enough to have loved it for a long time. My sort of love affair with this club started, I left school at 16, I became the apprentice groundsman here. Manager at the time was England international, Jerry Francis. Didn't quite go well for Jerry, it has to be said. I became the head groundsman 4 years later. Terry Cooper joined us that year. I think it's fair to say Terry did a pretty good job in his time here. 20 years after I became the head groundsman, I became a trustee for the first time and spent 6 years as trust chair on that board and the first stint on the club board. The wonderful Denise Watts took over from me, and I think pretty much everybody in this room will acknowledge what a wonderful servant to this club Denise was. 20 years later, for some bizarre reason, I'm back for some more. I don't know why. One thing that has been the recurring theme, and Gary actually alluded to this, in the 40 years I've been involved in one way, shape or form with this club, we've always been close to a financial crisis. I mean, Martin would be able to give us about 100 years worth of financial crisis. Not that he experienced them himself, but it is a recurrent theme of this football club. We are a small provincial club, and we're always battling against the odds. So I personally have been through 3 financial crises in the time that I've been involved. When I was an employee, things were so bad in the 1980s, I was paid out of the petty cash tin 1 week. So context is critical. We are in a bad situation, but we've been in a damn sight worse. And teamwork will get us out of this and moving forward. We have, under the guidance now of Pete, a very, very committed, dedicated trust board that will steady the ship. We've got a new trust board, we've got a new club board, We've already started working very, very progressively together, particularly these two gentlemen here, who have a far more financially screwed on head than I do. I think that the key, and again, Gary alluded to this, everybody in this room, from the manager to the supporters to trust members to sponsors, we have to work as a team. We have to work together to get out of the situation we're in and move forward together. Pete mentioned about people who've donated. Again, we have to thank you particularly for your money, but also there are many people in this room who give themselves selflessly to volunteer for the club. And I think that's really important as well to acknowledge. Finally, I'd like to conclude about thanking our own staff, because sometimes when we talk about the football club, we actually forget that there are many human stories behind our staff involved in this club. Many of our staff have been here right the way through the trust era. They probably won't thank me for this, but I'm going to anyway. There are individuals who've been here: Justin Quick, Andy Gillard, Aaron Pugh, Jamie Vittles and Danny Harris from the wonderful Community Trust, who do magnificent work in our community. They've been here right the way through. Staff across the whole club here and at the Cliff Hill, selfless, dedicated people. So when we make decisions, tough, really tough decisions, it's always thinking ultimately about people's lives, the staff here, match day staff. One in this room, Paul, sells programs and has done for many years. Martin and Eric, gate men in the Stano, Gerald, other numerous stewards. Many of these people have been here dedicated to making sure we have a safe match day, and they've done that for donkey's years. So there are so many people that do so much in this club. They don't do it for plaudits, but these are the people that make this club what it is. No pressure, Gary, but Wickham is now massive. Just get that footage of Dean Moxey scoring that goal in the second round that got us that game at Manchester United, because that changed the course of history at that point. So we all want to be happy as Larry in the next round. So if you can just find whoever that next Dean Moxey is, we'll all be very, very happy people. Thank you once more. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Well, that's it, because that's basically Tony's written that was my speech. So thank you very much indeed, and good night. Want to move on to the refresh bit. What do I mean by refresh? It's looking how the trusts do things, internally and externally. For example, how we can improve our communications with club and trust board, and we'll come on to that in a minute, because despite some honest conversations recently, we have made good progress in improving that relationship. How we improve our communications with yourselves. I think it might be time to look at how we use our conferencing equipment for our monthly board meetings. We might need to improve that. I don't know whether you would agree with that or not, but I think that's something we are working hard on, seriously. We're working on hard on how to improve the AV for our board meetings. Also, equally, looking at how we improve our communications internally, not just amongst the trustees, but with other people from the club, and also how we share the documents around that we need to share and that we need to refer to. So that, looking at how we do things to make your life, because if we can be more efficient, if we can work smarter, that will help you in terms of understanding what we're doing, and we can improve our communications. Cam Ward, our communications officer, I think has done a great job recently, getting a lot of stuff out. We can still do a lot more. Cam will be asked to review the Trust website from top to bottom, how we can improve on that. We are going to look at Very Connect. Very Connect's great for if you've got a membership query or a ticket query, but if you want to send in a detailed question, maybe that's not the right platform for us to be having. So I don't know what the answer is, but we're going to look at how we can improve that type of communication into the Trust. The other thing that we've refreshed, I've alluded to, is the Trust and Finance Group. Gary, did you want to just a little minute on your experience so far?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I think I'll sit down. Yeah. So I'm Gary Quick. I was elected a few weeks, 17 days ago, was it, Pete, you said? Yeah. Seems like a lifetime. So first board meeting, I, for some reason, stepped forward to chair the finance working group, probably because of my career that spans about 40 years in the financial world, across sort of banking, compliance roles, managerial roles, on the board of a local financial planning business, and having that experience, I suppose, of working in a situation where you have two parties, in that the trust is obviously the majority shareholder of the club, and we have to have a good and positive working relationship with the club, even during times where maybe things are difficult. And as Tony and Pete have already said, there have been plenty of those moments over the club's history. But we're not going to solve anything if the two sides are at loggerheads. Yes, we've had some fairly frank exchanges in the first sort of contacts that we've had with the club board, but you've got two new boards effectively trying to work their way through a set of problems at the moment that are relatively tricky, and we're determined to work together and to help each other as much as to make sure that we can continue to have that smooth and competitive team on the pitch, to make sure those results come in and we all get entertained. But of course there's a lot of hard work. It's a bit like the duck on the water, isn't it? It looks very graceful when it's gliding along, but the feet are going at 100 miles an hour underneath. And that's really the day-to-day challenge I think that we've got. And I don't envy the club in terms of the decisions that they've got to make, which Tony alluded to just now, to make sure that we can get our budgets in a position where we're always going to have limited means in this league compared to some of the other clubs, but we just need to make sure that we get our income and expenditure back to a reasonable level that we can manage going forward. There are a lot of things under discussion at the moment, and the Trust Finance Group that is just recently formed, we haven't even had our first meeting yet, consists of me, Nigel to my left here, has a long career in the public sector, and is fantastic at taking notes. So thank you to Nigel for documenting all of our discussions that we have, and also keeping track of things like action points, because I think from my experience of looking in from the outside prior to getting elected, I think there was possibly not enough action and maybe not enough frank discussions between trust and club. And there's nothing wrong with having good, healthy, challenging discussions, and we shouldn't shy away from those situations where we have to make difficult decisions, much as they might be slightly painful at the time, but we're here to make sure the club's around for future generations of supporters, and that's our main key element. One thing we've done on the Trust Finance Group is we've set up currently a weekly meeting with a small subgroup, and we meet with the club directors. I don't know if Lawrence is still here, lurking somewhere. Yeah, he's at the back there. So we meet with Richard Pym, Lawrence Overend, and Clive, who's also lurking at the back there, on a Friday morning. Those are quite important discussions at the moment because we're all getting to know each other, sounding each other out, discussing ideas, working out how we deal with the financial challenges that the club has. We're also much more in tune with the club's financial manager, Ray, who is supplying us with details so that the trust can fulfill its governance role. And again, I think, can't say for certain, but because I wasn't there, I think that's an area where we've maybe not had as much input as we should have in the past. So we feel confident now on the trust that we've got a good line of communication with the club. We're getting data from the club that we need to make sure that we know what the position is. We know that there are challenges. Both sides acknowledge that. Both sides are working together to do everything that we can to get back onto an even keel and to take the club forward. Many of those things will be potentially quite innovative, so there may be some change in the future where we need to look at ways in how we do balance the books. But our key aim, I think, as Pete said, is to make sure that we keep those channels of communication open as much as we can with you, our fellow owners. And I think we have to respect, obviously, some commercial sensitivities, but there is definitely more engagement that we can have along those lines to give you a sense of the direction of travel and the ambitions that we've got to look at how we improve the finances moving forward. And that's me, I think. Oh, yep. Yes. So Matt is probably, I'll wave at him now because he's probably online somewhere. So Matt is a financial professional. He's an actuary for, I think it's PwC, isn't it? Yeah. Based in Manchester. And his skills have been absolutely fantastic on the Trust Financial Group. I think his father was previously a trustee, was he? Yeah. So he's sort of a second generation trustee now, but his career has taken him up north. But his financial acumen and analysis of things like, if you just look at cash flow forecasts and things like that, I mean, he's absolutely all over that because it's sort of the day job is analysing things. So we have the eyes, the experience, and the brilliant note taker, all in-house. I'm pleased to say as well that a former trustee who was on the Trust Finance Group, Jamie Pelmier, has agreed to continue to be on that group. So we've also got Jamie, who's a qualified accountant, used to work for Bishop Fleming. He's moved into a slightly different role with another company now, but is still willing to be part of our group. So I think along with Pete and Tony's input as chair and vice chair, we've got pretty much everything squared off, and we're prepared to face the challenge going forward and looking forward to it. So that's me.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. So just really wanted to give you an update where we are in terms of governance and working with the club and looking at their figures. So we sort of have got that back, and I think we're fairly confident now, aren't we, that we're moving in the right direction. Just also wanted to say, in terms of the refresh, wanted to look how we conduct the meetings. So we're going to see whether we can bring more into the part A parts of the meeting, be more open with you, and discuss more in there. So we're going to be looking at that as well. So lots to sort of look at, but we are making progress, I feel. These guys are keeping me on my toes. They're working me hard, which is good. The one thing I have been impressed with, even though it's only 17 days, we really have come together as a board, I feel. And we've sometimes a crisis makes good a situation. I think having the fire obviously didn't help, but it has pulled us together, and we are really working well together as a team. Some great thoughts coming through of how we can do stuff better in the future. On to the move forward bit. We will be doing a membership drive in terms of getting extra people into the trust. So we're going to be working on that. We are going to be, the membership fee, that will be going up in price from February the 1st. So we will be doing comms around that. So that will be happening. We're also going to be working, we would like to work with the people who are paying by standing order. That takes Sarah 4 or 5 hours a week managing the standing order payments coming in. And we would like to try and reduce down the number of standing orders that are coming through, so we can put those 4 hours into the membership drive and get more people. Andrew Rothwell, one of the club directors, has sent a paper in on some ideas of how we can increase membership. I know another couple of other trust members have sent papers in as well, so we will be looking at that. And I want you to play your part in that as well. And as a stocking filler present for your loved ones, maybe buy them a trust membership. Or just get a friend. Can you sign up somebody else to join the trust, please? We know we need to do our bit as well as fellow owners to try and help grow the membership. We are very closely looking at doing with the club a share rights issue. So that is something that's being seriously looked at, and we have started work on that. And I'd like to ask Nigel Edwards just a minute on where we're at with the share register and how it might look going forward. So Nigel Edwards, who's on the Trust and Financial Group.
Evening, everybody. It's pretty compulsory, I think, to have an Edwards involved in Exeter City. Of course, of the 4 Exeter City players that have scored at Wembley, 2 of them are Edwards, Rob and Kyle. So I come in sort of step into esteemed shoes, I suppose. Just a little bit, I'd like to say a little bit about who I am, really, before I go on about things like the share register. I first started supporting the club in 1971, when John Newman was indeed the manager at that time. I think he'd stopped playing by that point. Can't remember now, actually. I was 5 years old, and I came with my brother, my eldest brother, who was 15 at the time. It's kind of a measure of life in those days, I think. I don't know how much, a 15-year-old would be trusted by their mum just to take their 5-year-old to go and stand in the cowshed, as it was at the time. And, he popped me over the barriers to sit just in front of the primroses that were there, along with a few other kids. And after about 5 minutes, we were told off, and because those were the days when the tannoy worked, and we were we were told to, in no uncertain terms, to go somewhere safe. So, you know, I've supported this club for quite a long time. I was then a trust member from 2003, but yeah, I was in London and the southeast, basically digging governments out of holes they got themselves in for most of that time, and you know, there's some experience there that I've got that can bring to some kind of communication, not just sort of note-taking, but explaining hard things in a sort of consumable way. We were talking a bit about comms and how we might do that. And so one of my sort of nerdy interests before becoming onto the board was actually trying to understand the share register. There's 121 shareholders of Exeter City, the biggest one of which is, of course, we're proud that it's the trust, but there's a load of other shareholders as well. People think that it's, you know, it's just a fan-owned club, but there are lots of private shareholders, and of course, you know, those people have not contributed very much over the last 20 years. They might have done in the past, and it's where we need to get to is realise the ambition of the trust to build our stake up higher from where it is at the moment, which is about 57.9%, just short. There's 42.1 in private ownership. And part of that, we are looking just in the nascent process of how do we conduct a rights issue that gives the trust the opportunity to build its shareholding. And one of the ways that we can do that is through converting the loans that we'll come on to this in the rest of the meeting, convert those loans into a greater shareholding. And probably the time to do that, we'll work with the board. You would do it around about the time that the accounts are available, so that there's some up-to-date financial information for shareholders to be able to make an informed decision over whether they might like to invest. And that would be a decision for the trust in the same way, trust members, in the same way as it would be for hopefully those private shareholders, because of course converting those loans into a greater shareholding does not give the club any more money, but perhaps those private shareholders might wish to, who knows, might wish to invest themselves. So that might build up finances for the club. But from that point, we then would need to look at, you know, how might we go a bit more global in terms of not just thinking about the relatively provincial fan base that we have, but can we attract, sell the fan-owned experience much more globally to get people interested, and that's where we need to work as a trust board to do that. So that's where we want to move to. I think explaining some of the process between now and when that rights issue might happen is a bit of a challenge in this environment, but I would like to take that away and communicate that over the coming few weeks and months. So that is something that's very live, that we're working with the chairman and the board to develop. Anyway, it's a real pleasure to suddenly find myself in this position, which I really didn't expect 2 or 3 months ago, but I saw that the club needed help, and I thought I'd put myself forward because so many other people have done that, and I've just been up in London just watching from afar, and I thought that, you know, I could possibly help. So that's me really. Pete.
Thank you, Nigel. If Nigel can explain a share rights issue to me, he can explain it to anybody. So it's been illuminating, really has. So yeah, work on the chair issue. I know Richard Pym, chair, is very keen to hold another forum in January to explain more about that process. But we just have to do a bit of background work before we start that. So don't hold me to a date or ask me a date when that's going to be. That's still a work in progress. But I know Rich is very keen to come and talk and explain the procedure and the process and take questions from the floor. So the other things moving forward, we haven't had a joint board meeting between the club and the trust for a long time. So we are trying to get that arranged for early next year, so we can come together. And just on that point, the trust club board members are Tony, who you've heard from, and Richard Knight. Do you need an introduction, Mr. Knight? Does everybody know Mr. Knight? Been here about 250 years, done everything. So much knowledge about the club. We are very fortunate to have Tony and Richard on that board, who really do have the trust in the club at heart. So we are grateful for you standing up and taking on that position. Your first board meeting's 8th of December. So be interesting, looking forward to it. But again, thank you for stepping up and doing that. The other thing I want to try and do is come out with the trustees to all the supporter groups around the county and further afield if possible, just to try and hear what your thoughts are on what the direction the club should be taking. Where should we be? Which league should we be in? What is sustainable to you? What does that mean to you? I've tasked all the working group leads to come up with a strategy for their particular working groups, which then will form a bigger strategy, and then we'll build a business plan around that strategy. But we need to know from the members, is that the right strategy? What are you thinking? So we can feed that in, so we can then move forward on that strategy. So we're looking to do that in the spring. So hopefully you'll invite us, or we'll just descend on you. I think the main message I want to try is, yes, the message I want to get across, tough times, but coming together, as we have done as a big community, we can get through this. My glass on the table is half full. That's how I view life. My glass is always half full. We can really do great things, I think, if we all come together. And just again, thank you for your support. But said, bear with us, 17 days in, we know we've got a lot to do. I think we've made some good progress, especially over the finance and governance. We've got that back under our review, and now we can build on and move forward. Gary, sorry to wake you up. Did you want to add anything in terms of moving forward and your view and how we can do that, what we can get from people, or do you want some time to think about it and I'll ask somebody else?
I'll leave you to.
Leave me to, okay. Okay, questions from the floor then. Dean.
You said that you're going to review, if that's the right word. Are you setting a date for that review? How long is it going to be, and will you be reporting back to the members?
So I've asked Tony, this is the internal review, yeah? So I've asked Tony to try his best to get it back to us for January. And of course, we would like to, we will need to look at it, but then we will be talking to the members about it, yes.
I've got two questions, that's okay.
I thought you would.
The first question is, could the trust sort of use the community as in schools and colleges to get feedback from young people to obviously what they want trust, and then that could also up the membership as the young supporters of the next generation of the trust. And if we want the trust to continue we're going to need more engagement with young supporters. I'm just wondering, would that be a possibility?
It's a possibility. I mean, the Community Trust did great work already, spreading the word about the football club. Cam is very, as you know, Cam has been he has been in contact with you? Yeah. Yes? So I know Cam, I've charged Cam with saying, come on, let's talk to Gen Z, let's see how we can get them involved and grow that, because you're quite right. The future supporters are your age group.
A bit of a different question. Obviously, when I was coming here today, I saw the email about the loan to the club.
Yep.
I was just wondering, is the £250,000 loan to the club secured or unsecured?
So it's not a £250,000 loan to the club. It's a 200,000. So we, the Supporters Trust, have lent £200,000. That loan will be secured against shares. £50,000 has come from the Fire Fundraiser Fund, and that's being given to the club so they can pay the bills, and so they have money to do that. Our suppliers have gone above and beyond. I think it's only right that we pay them as soon as we can. At the back, Dean.
Two statements and a question. The two statements are the sign that we watched the first trust meeting online was dreadful. So I agree with you that we need to do something about that.
Yep.
It just wasn't good. The second thing is communications are already better because you received that email about the loan and about the money being put towards the fire damage. So that's brilliant. Already that's better. The question is the £50,000 that has been put into the fire damage. Is there insurance to cover that, and will some of that 50 grand eventually come back from insurance or whatever, and could that be then invested in the club in another way?
You've answered your own question. So the plan is that obviously we don't know how much insurance money the club are going to get. They might get all of it. They might only get 80% of it. Just don't know. And the club don't know when they're going to get that answer. It could be in Justin's inbox tomorrow, or it might be 4 weeks' time. So the insurance assessor is being very helpful and sympathetic and all of that, but these things do take time. So what we've asked the club is when the money comes back in, the club put that towards infrastructure project in the stadium, and we want them to put it to something that will earn money for the club. Now, that's what we've asked the club to do. They're going to come up with a wish list, and then we will take it from there. Might not happen by next Tuesday, but that's what we've asked the club to do. Then Dean, then there's Elaine.
Can I just ask, I know that you guys have only been there 17 days, and I appreciate it's very, very early, but is the club losing money on a month-to-month basis, and if so, how much?
Well, that's a testing question. Well, we'll get back to you on that because I need to speak to the club. Go on, Gary. Good question.
Yeah, great question. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the club's income versus expenditure, and as Gary mentioned earlier, over the years we have relied upon the rich stream of youth development that we've had. We've sold players for maybe relatively modest sums to start with who've gone on to great things, and with those add-on deals that we've negotiated when we've sold them, that money has come in and helped support the club. But if you do examine the accounts, as I'm sure a few of you have here, you can see that the actual sort of basic operating model is that we don't cover our outgoings. So we rely upon those windfalls to come in, whether it be Dean Moxey scoring and us getting United away to save the club, or more recently, Ollie Watkins, Jay Stansfield getting sold to Birmingham, etc. Ethan Ampadu, who's given us a nice, long-lasting stream of income that comes in, but I feel that's tailing off now. And but we aren't at base level. We are not running out of profit, but we're as we've explained, and many people have explained, our budget is either the bottom one, I mean, depending on who you speak to. Gary's nodding his head. So, what this guy's doing in terms of performance on the pitch with what he's got to spend should never be underestimated, because it's a difficult job. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that because I actually done something for the last board meeting. I've got the exact figures, but since I came to the club, my budget has increased by 42%, I think it is. So every window, the club has given me more money, has allowed us to invest in the squad, which for a supporter-owned club at this level is incredible. Unfortunately, the league is increasing at double the rate. So the league is increasing at 80%. The lower teams in the league, the teams coming up from League 2 are increasing at 92%, I think it is exactly. If it's not exact, it's 90 plus. So whilst we are improving, the league is improving at double the rate ahead of us. And that is the huge challenge that we all have, to keep finding ways to make that improvement quicker and to try and stay with the league. So like you said, it's not just a challenge for me, it's a challenge for the whole football club that we should embrace and we should enjoy, because to have been 4 seasons at this level is so enjoyable, playing against some huge clubs, having some amazing nights here. But to keep that going, we need to keep that improvement and keep trying to fill those holes that are, like you say, definitely there.
Elaine.
Hi, Elaine Davis, you probably know me. You're all positive, which is lovely. Communications are supposed to be better, but be giving money. I'm going to be a broken record and say to you, 25k recovery room transferred from the trust to the club in January, on the understanding it will be ring-fenced and used for future projects. No one has told me, I've asked over and over again, it has not been used for future projects. So, I asked, I've written to the club, to Mr. Pym, I've written to Clive, trustees. If it still exists, I ask for it to be transferred to the fire fund. If it doesn't exist, if it's been used for an emergency, as we would understand it, then we need to know. It's just not fair to be quiet, because you're not going to get any more donations if you don't share and do what you promised. When I was asked to raise some money, or ask groups to raise money to give to when the team go to Bramblewood, a lot of the supporter groups upped their usual donation because they said they had money to give. They did not want to give it to the club because they didn't know what had happened to their money before. So it's absolutely important that we know what happens. And you're talking now about any surplus, any money that's over from that we use for future projects. If that's the case, that's fine. But I don't believe you at the moment. So I can't say it over. I've said it over and over again. I'm fed up with saying it. But I can't possibly ask anybody for any more donations with a clear conscience, because I don't know what's happened to it.
So I've asked the club, and they've said they will put the 25,000 from the recovery room into the repair.
I asked Mr. Pym, he said he did not know.
Well, I can't speak for Mr. Pym. I've spoken to Mr. Harrison, and Mr. Harrison said that money will go into the repair of the control room and the medical room.
Why didn't they answer me?
I can't answer that because I'm not them. I'm sorry, Elaine, I just can't.
I want everybody to know that. Communication is rubbish.
Well, that will get fed back.
Good, thank you.
Okay. As Gary... Well...
January to November.
Okay, well, I wasn't them. You know, I'm not them. So...
You've been on the trust board.
I have been on the trust board, yes. And we have asked, and that's what we've been told. That's the answer I can give you, Elaine. Anybody else like to ask a question?
Firstly, thank you to everyone who stepped up to be on the board and at a very tricky time. Part of the lack of trust recently in the trust is because people don't know what is going on, and I hear that you're going to address that. Will you promise at the appropriate time to issue a statement that clearly defines what has happened and what has gone wrong, as well as your steps to improve it?
As part of Tony's process,
Just to say, that's the trust review, just in case people are confusing it with...
you're talking about the trust review. Yeah, okay, trust review. As part of Tony's process, that's what he's going to be looking at.
What has gone wrong, as well as what you're doing to address it?
Well, I like to think we've said something along those lines of what we're doing to address it now in terms of the work that Gary, Nigel and Matt are doing in their weekly meetings with Richard Pym, Lawrence Overend and Clive Harrison. And I've sat in one as well. So we have started that process. We are also going to start in our refresh, look at our systems internally to make sure that we make sure that we do things better.
Yeah, but the other part of that was, will you make a clear statement about what has gone wrong? You don't have to name individuals, but a clear statement.
We will do that.
That will help build trust.
Yeah. Paul?
I don't want to lose people like Gary because of this sort of stuff.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
I promised him another 4-pack of Cruz Campos.
I believe that a couple of meetings ago it was suggested that the increase was going to be for December, i.e. in a couple of days' time. How come it's been delayed by 2 months when both the club and the trust are getting money?
Can I hand you over to Richard, because it's a very Connect issue that we've had to invest in a bit more into Very Connect. It's a software technical issue, which Richard will... You've got 2 minutes, we don't want to send people to sleep.
As if I would. Yeah, we've had problems with the software. We've had to renegotiate contracts, and that's taken a little bit of time. We also, in hindsight, wanted to avoid Christmas because everybody's going to be short of money around Christmas time, so we really wanted to avoid that. But the best way that we could do it was with Very Connect, and they said that they could get everything up and running by February the 1st, and with a guarantee. So it was best to go with a guarantee rather than to go off too loose-footed, and fall on our faces again. So 1st of February will be the increase.
Thank you, Richard. In a minute, Josh, just going to give somebody else a chance. We'll go to Josh, last question for the evening, if that's all right. Two last questions of the evening. Josh, you'd like to go first and then pass the microphone to the young man to your right, please.
I think it was said in somebody's manifesto on ways we can make trust meetings more sociable, before have coffee and have the bar open. Would there be an option to look at maybe letting fans in a bit earlier, or when a meeting finishes? Obviously we have it now, but it's not very long. But ways we can communicate away from the meetings, more of a social thing, not just with you guys, but also with different supporters?
Something we can certainly look at, Josh. Yeah, something we can definitely look at. Yeah, Matthew.
This is a question.
Give me 4 biscuits. We'll see. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a question directed to you, actually. I'm hoping, I'm sure everyone in this room is the Trust Board has been reinvigorated with the elections, and then we're going to see a lot more action. One of the biggest criticisms has been Trust Board meetings and the use of Part B to hide things away. Now, you as the chair have the opportunity to perhaps, police it better in terms that there can be more openness with what is covered in Part A. The absolute sort of ridiculous example of this is that a discussion on the increase of trust subs was put into Part B and hidden from the members. Now, there is no logical reason why that shouldn't have been completely openly discussed. There's no confidentiality involved in it. There's no, So, can I hope that we're going to have it policed better this time?
I have said that we are going to try it. We will be trying to be more open in Part A. Can be difficult at times, but yes, that man there won't stop until that happens. So I really do hope we can, because it's important that we do as part of rebuilding the trust process.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair point.
Already been there.
Hi guys, there's been lots of talk tonight and over the last few months about increasing the cost of trust subs. Could I ask please what the Trust Board would like to do, or is it indeed looking at how it can invigorate what the members get in return for their money as well, please?
We've started that conversation. So, we've started. I can't give you an answer tonight. We've really just started that conversation about something we are looking at. Okay. One thing I did forget to say, we are looking to develop a Grecians USA group. We've got 63 members out there. We'd like to try and build that. So working with Ben Shepherd from Wisconsin. Ben does attend our meetings online from time to time. So we are going to be starting to look at how we can grow the American market. They just love EFL clubs. They love our story. So we want to build on that and try and get more people into that. And the last thing for me is, it's going to be a bit obvious, really need as many people as we can at the Wicked match at the park and really throughout December as well. To get as many fans, because I really do want to go to Everton to watch us. So please help me achieve that dream. At the park, Raw Gary and the lads on for that victory. I think that's it from me. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Thank you for those questions. Start of a process, isn't it, gents?
It is.
Of moving forwards, and we can't do it without you. Yes, they are uncomfortable at times, but they have to be, as we said, as Gary said, we need honest and challenging questions, because that's the way that we improve and move on and move forward. So thank you very much indeed. That's it, unless there's one. Anything else?
Do you know when the next trust meeting is?
No, I don't. Oh, trust meeting. Sorry, I think trust meeting is 8th of December. Yeah. Sorry, I thought I meant that's for.
Can we not store waste near a technical area? All joking aside, I was surprised because we have to go through such stringent fire regulations, and there's about risk assessment and foresight, and it turns out that we've got waste. And
Can I just say that the waste was
not
not the cause of the fire. The waste was collected on the Tuesday morning. There was no waste at all in that fire area.
Okay, I can only, but that's quite interesting because it's quite interesting what we read as supporters and what actually happens. So that's.
And Phil Wright, he's the man that knows about waste.
Phil, I trust Phil implicitly. I know Phil, he's a good man. But it was interesting to read.